Hi everybody, uh, welcome to the Cloud OS Week Online. What you're going through right now is transform the data center, and we're going to look at application migration for Server 2003. My name is Paul Keely. I am a cloud and data center MVP. I started off life as an operations manager MVP. You can contact me at paul.keely@infrontconsulting.com. I work for Infront in the UK. We're a boutique system center and cloud partner. We do, high-end management packs, orchestrator, run books, service manager, customization. We have our own training courses, and we do a whole bunch of stuff. Including Server 2003 migrations. And if you have any, we can help you with anything, just send me an email and I will be really happy to engage with you. So, what is the agenda for this video? What are we going to look at? So we're going to look at the Server 2003 challenge. I know the XP end of life has just been overwhelming a lot of people, but Server 2003 is the next big one. It's coming around the corner. We're going to look at why is it so difficult. We're going to look at the phasing, the migration, the solution, and the next steps for, what might you look at. So, the challenge with Server 2003. Extended support for 2003 or 2 is up July 14, 2015. So it's the end of security patches. And just be clear about this. It's not that Microsoft are ending this to charge you a lot of money for, extended support. It's that they want to stop supporting Server 2003 because it just costs them too much money. It's a pain in the ass to keep writing security patches. It's July 14, 2015. Right now, that's about, it's less than sort of 15 or 16 months from now. And if you have Server 2003 in-house, you really got to look at, an exit strategy from that. So many people have legacy applications running on the platform. And when I, originally started talking to people about this, people have been chipping away at this for a couple of years. But, right now we need to get in and have a look at how do we get off 2003. So why is it so difficult? Okay. There's an amount of risk involved in a Server 2003 migration. There's risk in terms of lots of our applications have a backend database, single or multi-tier applications. Very often they integrate with IIS. Okay. And then what are the challenges are, well, if we deployed stuff on Server 2003, which, right now is 11 years old, and it's very likely that the people who deployed the applications have forgot about them, don't still work for you. The vendor who offered the application has the same problem. Their people aren't there to support them. They're not available. In terms of our server count, how many servers do you have running on 2003? And what's it going to look like to start to move them off? What kind of time frame do we have to do it? Many of these applications are mission critical and super important. And what's the budgetary approval for this? So in terms of budgetary approval, it's a real simple thing to understand. You're either going to get your stuff together and migrate now and pay for it, or you're going to pay, extended support, whatever it's going to cost you, and then you're still going to do it. So one way or the other, you're going to have to get off Server 2003. And so budget and time frame is a critical thing on this. So it's the old adage here. It's the it's the 20% of the apps are going to cause you a whole amount of risk and effort. So we're not looking at migrating SQL and SharePoint, although, of course, the application migration is going to look at that. But migrating from SQL and SharePoint is really well known. Okay, it's really well known, it's really understood. What we're talking about is, custom in-house applications, Java applications, .NET stuff that was, writing to IIS, going back to a database, etc., etc., etc. And, we need to start to look at how we're going to take, the more complex, less popular, maybe custom in-house applications and move them, over to a new platform. So in terms of what platform would we be looking to move to, the minimum we'd be looking for is Server 2008 or 2. And the reason why we'd want Server 2008 is just that, Server 2008 or 2 was when we started to have a common PowerShell platform. It's when, common set of admin tools across the suite. And so it's a really, really good option, because you just mightn't get to 2012. So when you think about moving applications, there's a number of things involved. We could use Server App V. We can use Web Deploy 3.5. Web Deploy 3.5 is a free Microsoft application. And there are vendors like AppZero that allow you to look at an application and how you're going to move it across. And so, what are the platforms that we could consider moving it to? So we could move to Server 2012, running on Hyper-V. You could consider moving it to Server 2012 in Azure, depending on the size of the application. So, if you have had Server 2003 boxes, you're looking at moving, up to 2012. Now is an awesome time to consider putting in site-to-site VPN, looking at moving your application from 2003 to in-house 2012 as a staging block, and then from 2012 over to 2012 in Azure. Okay, so let's just have a look at the different components involved. So AppV packages older applications to run on new supported environments. Creates an application virtual bubble for them to run in. AppZero allows you to create a virtual device whereby it was described to me that AppZero is like WinZip, in that you don't have to tell WinZip what files to compress or decompress on a package it knows. And so AppZero is able to go to an application, find out its dependencies, bring it over in a bubble, allow you to try it in a bubble and see how it's going, and move it from there. And then, our ideal goal is Server 2012 or 2, right? If we can move an application to Server 2012 or 2, we've probably, we've definitely got the longest lifespan in terms of when we're going to have to revisit this again. And, we have an infront, we have a piece of work on doing a migration from 2003 to 2012 to Azure, and being able to monitor and script and automate the entire process for you. So what are the strengths of each? So Server App V, it involves you getting the application, sequencing the application, and it's awesome for one-to-many deployments. So you have an application, middleware app, and you have the installers, and we can sequence it and send that application to a number of servers. It's awesome for that. Web Deploy is Microsoft command line tool, free command line tool for moving IIS websites and web servers over to new environments. And then for us, the key application mover that we like is AppZero. And the reason we think App Zero is so powerful is because it doesn't matter what the installers were. It moves a whole ton of enterprise apps. In my demo, I'm not going to do a Microsoft app. I'm going to do an open source app. You can see how it moves it and what it does in that environment. So App Zero's strengths are you don't need the installers. You don't need to know a great deal about the application. We're able to, use the App Zero application intelligence to go in and see what's involved and look at the move from there. So I consider App Zero the magic bullet. Okay, why do I consider it the magic bullet? Well, so what App Zero allows us to do is go from OS to OS, meaning we can go from Windows Server to Windows Server. So we can move from Server 2000 to Server 2012, or we can go desktop to desktop. The only thing you can't do is go desktop to server. The 64-bit, 32-bit is irrelevant. We can move a 32-bit application over to a 64-bit server, and it has no effect on the application. Now, here's what I'm going to do in the demo. Is I have a Source 2003 server, and I have my Server 2012 environment, and I'm going to go and discover PostgreSQL on my source machine. Okay, so I'm going to go to the registry, I'm going to go to program files, I'm going to go to services, etc. I'm going to find everything to do with Postgre. I'm going to bring it over into a virtual application appliance. I'm going to dock the appliance on my target machine. I'm going to check that it runs. And if it runs, I'm then going to dissolve the application. And when I dissolve the application, it will have actually been fully migrated over onto my Server 2012 environment. So for me, next is a demo. So I'm going to move the application, but I'm going to more than likely come back to this slide a couple of times, just so as I can explain to you what's going on and what's happening. So here is Server 2003 box. And on the box, I have PostgreSQL. Okay, so let's just go and have a look exactly what's running here. So I have pgadmin. Okay, why have I picked PostgreSQL? It's not a Microsoft app, it's an enterprise app, and it has nothing to do with Microsoft at all. It's just a standard enterprise app running on Server 2003. And the reason I've picked it is because it's really easy to do a smoke and mirrors demo where we pick, bog standards, app and move it across. So there's PostgreSQL. I, of course, have some really imaginatively named databases like Northwind Traders and Contoso. And then in the services, I have a Postgre server 8.3 running with a local service. Okay, I don't know what the password is. And then over here, I have a Server 2012 machine. And just so as we continue the no smoke and mirrors bit. So if we just go and have a look at services, there is no Postgre admin service. Okay, and if I go to the applications listed, you don't see anything to do with Postgre. So you can see my App Zero. There's no Postgre application there. All right. So here is what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to my AppZero tethering console, and I'm just going to call this PGS, PostgreSQL. I just need to get a source server name. So I just need to get server 2003 app 2. So server 2003 app 2, and admin password. Okay, so once I put in the, once I have those details, I can just go in and say, hey, look, will you go over to that machine and will you just go and see what you can find on the box? Okay, so it has Hyper-V integration services, Visual Studio, it has PostgreSQL and virtual clone drive. So I'm really interested in Postgre 8.3. And when I go to the remote services, it's just going to go to the box and have a look at the services that we're running. And it says, hey, this Postgre service is running. I don't know the password for it. When I go to remote account, it says, look, you need to bring over this Postgre account, and it has pre-populated that for me. And so when I go to remote services, here is what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop the remote service. Okay, so that has stopped it on the whole box. You're allowed with AppZero, when you don't know the password, to give it a AppZero password that it will integrate. And with that in place, so I've just set the password, I've just stopped it over there, I can say start tether. Okay, and so what's going to happen now is it's going to make a virtual application appliance. It has brought it over here, and so what I should be able to do right now is I should be able to go in here and start the Postgre service on this box. Now, provided it starts, I can go in. So just one thing to point out is that it seems to take a long time to start this service. Well, the reason it's taking a long time to start is it's trying to start a service and interact with the operating system from inside a virtual appliance. So it's going through a virtual appliance into the operating system, and it has to do a whole bunch of communication. So the service has started, and if I wanted to right now, I could go in here and I could say launch application. And when it goes to launch the application, now you have to understand that this is sitting inside an application bubble. It's not actually sitting on the machine just yet. So I can go to pgadmin, I can say select, and it's going to open pgadmin inside this virtual bubble. And as soon as we get into pgadmin, as soon as we're able to log in and see the databases, working and in place, it's then possible for us to say, okay, look, it's working. Let's finish the tether and let's dissolve the application, and it will be migrated across. So I don't need a screen tip. So I just need to log on. Okay. So far so good. It's looking pretty healthy. In terms of databases, there's Contoso Data, and there is Northwind Traders Orders. And my databases are in place, and they're mounted, and they're working fine. So right now, it looks like I have a good, healthy database, and I have my application working. So I'm just going to close that. I'm going to say finish tether. Okay. So what finish tether is going to do is it's going to take the application and it's going to dock it, and as soon as it's docked, it's going to appear in my environment. So it has docked that application, and then the last thing that I just want to do is I just want to go to App Zero, and I just go to App Zero Dissolve Appliances PGS, which is what we called it, and it is just going to go through the process of dissolving this application onto my Windows server. Now, when it does the dissolve, the one thing that it won't do is start the service. And so I'll just have to go in, start the service, and once I see that the service is running and I can get into the application, life is good. So you can see that the application was successfully dissolved. So if I go back to my services and I just F5 my services, I get PostgreSQL. I just start it. Okay, so you can see it starts instantly when it's running on the box. And now if I go back to my application list, you can see, you know, what I consider pretty magically, you have PGAdmin. Okay. So I go in, I open PGAdmin. I don't want the screen to. I connect to it. I put in my password. Application opens. Here's my databases. Oops. Connect to my databases. My databases run. Okay. So if we just go back to that PowerPoint for 1 second. So let's just recap what I did there. Server 2003 box, PostgreSQL. I connected to it from Server 2012. I discovered the environment. I got the services, got applications, got registry settings, put them into a virtual appliance, brought them over onto my Server 2012 box. I tested the application, checked what the services were running. When I was happy that it was running okay, I docked that application, I dissolved it, and now I have a perfectly running environment. Here's a key thing for me in this environment, okay, is if I go back to this Server 2003 instance and I F5 that, remember we stopped that service remotely and we just start it. So that will have returned PostgreSQL to its fully functioning state, and I haven't, you know, damaged or injured or done anything to this application at all. And then one of the things that I just wanted to show you on this box was this box only has program files. It's a 32-bit server. You know, there's no x64, x32. It's just 32-bit server, and it moved it straight over to a 64-bit server. So it didn't matter, you know, none of that mattered to us. This has been a Server 2003 application migration. My name is Paul Keely. I work for Infront Consulting. And if you would like to find out more information about, you know, the Irish and English MVPs, about our community and about the things we do, go on to some of these websites. We are presenting lots. We're doing Cloud OS talks all the time. Tune in, and we hopefully will see you soon. Thank you.